Welcome into another edition of That's Deep. I'm Tommy Z, joined as always by Johnny Bravo. I'm looking for a bounce back week here, UFC 315. Johnny, I think you're kind of in the same boat. How you feeling about the card, and how'd you do last week?
Yeah, last week wasn't the greatest. Bo Nickel, I guess, wasn't who we thought he is. Isn't ready for the top level competition yet. So, yeah, that was disappointing. And then Figgy in the main event, I guess he wasn't 100% going in and decided to just roll for leg locks for the first couple of rounds and blows out his knee. So I needed a Sandhagen 4-5 decision. So that was unfortunate. And yeah, this card is it's interesting, but yeah, it's not the greatest of pay-per-view cards, but I mean, I guess should be some entertaining fights. Should be some entertaining fights, and yeah, ready to go.
Any card headlined by Bilal Muhammed is not the greatest of cards, but we there are some good fights on the card for sure. Last week was rough. I was only down a unit and a half on the sheet, which was nice, but I threw some live bets in there, got smoked. So I'm definitely looking for a bounce back here. So with all that said, let's just jump right into it and clear the palate and on to this week. Our first fight is in the bantamweight division. We've got Brad Katona taking on Begzat Almakan. Almakan, one of the toughest debuts you could have in the UFC. He took on Umar, which was no easy task. He did rock Umar early in that fight, which was pretty impressive. But, it's tough to kind of gauge where this guy's at with such a tough debut. But he did show some stuff in that. He showed some good scrambles. He showed he has some power. Taking on Brad Katona, he's a tough out. He's pretty well rounded, good grappler. He's got good striking. Does take some damage, but he's definitely a tough out. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, Pekzat, he came in against Umar. The regional tape looked halfway decent. But against the level of competition, I'm not too sure about. But the skills look there. He's got decent grappling. He's got pop in his hands. The striking is a little low volume. He kind of waits for that big shot, and that's about it. But really solid grappling. Really don't know what to expect. Like you said, he had that tough opening fight where, yeah, he dropped Umar, but he did only land 3 strikes in that fight, which is I really just don't know what to make of it. But yeah, the defensive grappling seems decent for what he was going up against. So yeah, and Katona, kind of one of these savvy old junkyard dog kind of guys. That's well-rounded. Decent striking. He's going to put the pace on you, put the pressure on you. Doesn't really have too much power in his hands, but he will put volume on you. Some decent grappling in his own right. Yeah, the lines, some monies came in on Katona. And, I kind of agree with it. I really don't know what to make of this fight. I'm not sure what we're going to get out of Betscat, but yeah, I'm going to lean the dog here in the first fight. I think Katona can just put a pace on him. If he can avoid that big shot and just, pressure him, the constant forward pressure, the volume, I think, it could make it an interesting fight, and yeah, the dog odds, I don't mind taking a shot with Katona here.
Yeah, I was on Beckside as I broke this one down, but the more I think about it, it's tough to bet against Katona. We've seen him in the UFC. We know he's tough. We know he's durable. The big shot definitely worries me because he does leave himself open. But, sometimes we kind of rate these guys high when they do something good in their debut against a good fighter. And then, they kind of come back to earth. But, Beckside definitely looks like he's got the skills. He looks like he's got the power. I think his grappling is probably good, but Umar was just a nightmare. I think this is going to be a pretty close fight. And yeah, I feel like Katona might be the side here. He's tough. He's a tough out. He puts up good volume. He's got, a lot of experience. And when things go bad, we know he can bounce back. And, I don't know what to make of Bexad. So I have to kind of agree with you here. I think this might be a dog or pass spot. Katona, he's been here, he's done it. And I think he's going to put a good pace on. It's going to be back and forth. I think this might be a good live betting fight. I think we'll kind of figure out a lot after the first round. But yeah, I kind of have to agree. I think Katona is probably the side here. I think it'll be fun. We'll see what this guy's really all about. But yeah, I have to roll with the dog here as well. All right. Our next fight is in the featherweight division. We've got Daniel Santos taking on Zhang Lee. Santos is a guy that, he's got all the skills. He definitely will leave himself open and take some shots, but he's shown some pretty good durability and ability to take some shots, get hurt in fights, and come back strong. He's, from that shoot to box camp where they're kind of all like that. Zhang Lee, though he looks good. He's got good striking. He's coming off a knockout loss, which is, always a worry. Santos, a lot of time off. I'm not really sure. I think he's had a couple injuries. I think he's pulled out of a couple fights along the way. But this is, anytime Daniel Santos is in a fight, it's going to be a good one. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is a tough one for me to get a read on. I really don't know what to expect out of Santos. He had a fight not too long ago booked against Davey Grant, and then had to pull out of that because he got some kind of illness. He got sick, but and then before that, he was off for a long time. But before that, he showed a lot of promise in his fights. Good, well-rounded guy, power in his hands, good striking, good grappling. Good fighter. He's actually moving up in weight here, so that could be a concern because he's probably going to be the smaller guy here. Lee is probably going to be pretty massive here. Good striking, good power in his hands. Pretty decent. Maybe not the smartest fight IQ. He kind of went out there in his last fight against Hader Emil and just kind of wanted to fight his fight and just went out there in a firefight and just wanted to throw down, which is not very encouraging to see. This line is kind of flipped. I think Santos was the favorite earlier in the week, and now Lee is the favorite. So, yeah, I don't really know what to make. How much is the 10-pound going up going to affect Santos? I'm not too sure. But he should have the skills. He's in a good camp, like that shoot a box camp. Those guys are usually always ready. So yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one, a close one. I'm gonna lean Santos here at some dog money too. So yeah, if he comes in healthy and ready to go, I think he's just better all around. Just a more skilled guy, But Lee can crack and does have good power in his hands. But I think this is another one that could be close, another close fight. So yeah, just give me the dog here. I think Santos has all the skills. If he makes it to the octagon, I think he's got all the skills to beat Lee.
Yeah, I agree. I do think he'll be at a size disadvantage here. I'm curious to see what they look like at weigh-ins. I kind of want to see how these two face off. But I really like Santos. And, up in weight, it's not always the worst thing. He's not going to have such a big weight cut. Maybe he can take a better shot, which, we've seen in the past, even when he gets hurt in fights, he's able to recover pretty well. So got to imagine he'll be able to take a pretty decent shot. And yeah, I've been on the opposite end of Santos in the past and, think I had a ticket cashed and then he just comes on strong and he buries you. So, I think he's really good. I want to see, kind of how he looks on the scales. I want to see if he comes in shape. A lot of time off, so it's tough to tell. But if he looks good, I feel like he's worth a shot here. A tough fight, tough matchup. Obviously, the size could play a factor, but he's got really good striking. He's got really good grappling. His jiu-jitsu's live. He could throw up subs at any point, scrambles well. And if he's on his game, he's a tough out for anybody. So I'm going to roll with you. I like Santos here as well. All right, our next fight is in the middleweight division. We've got Marc-Andre Beri taking on Bruno Silva. And I'll be honest, I didn't take a lot of time on this fight. After the Ponzinibbio fight last week, I just feel like I can't bet on fighters at all that I feel are washed. And I feel like both these guys are washed. Beri is a guy that's known for just pushing a high pace, get the cardio, just out cardio guys, put the volume on them late in fights, break them down. And, if I thought he had a chin, I would think he probably rolls in this fight because I don't think Bruno Silva's anything at this point. He seems like he's completely checked out. But two guys that, have not been winning fights recently. Durability, a question mark for Beri. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is pretty much the battle of the washed kind of. I actually had the same kind of thoughts like you had about like the Ponzinibbio D-Rod fight. Like this is kind of similar. Like two guys that are completely washed. Why try to force a bet on two guys that you don't know what the fuck's gonna happen? You know what I mean? Yeah. You see Beri, okay, get starched by Piper. You can't really blame him for that one. Piper hits like a truck, but I mean, you come out in Canada and you get absolutely ran over by Dustin Stoltzfus. I mean,
yeah,
that is not the best of looks. That's pretty bad. It's not great. So I really question his durability and his chin. The cardio is probably going to be there. He's going to try to put a pace on you. Hopefully he's not like in that Stoltzfus fight. He just fought with no game plan at all, no kind of like anything. He just was like, okay, I'm going out here and I'm gonna just go out with the fucking bang. When you don't have a chin, that necessarily isn't the smartest game plan you want to go with. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he's gonna have the cardio, probably have the cardio advantage, probably have the volume advantage here. But Bruno Silva, I mean, this guy is just completely cooked. I don't know how he's still on the roster. I mean, that Chris Weidman fight was absolutely terrible. Yeah, and this guy just seems like he just doesn't have it anymore. It's kind of weird. After he fought Poatan, it seemed like Poatan just took all his confidence and all his skills away from him. It's kind of weird, and he didn't even get knocked out in that fight. He just it's kind of weird. After that, he just completely fell off a cliff. You know what I mean? I mean, I kind of liked Silva before that fight. I mean, he had power in his hands. He's kind of a skilled guy. But it seemed like all his confidence was just shook after that fight, and just doesn't seem like he wants to be in there. Maybe he's just coming in here to collect a check. I don't know how much longer he's going to have a contract in the UFC. I mean, this might be it here. I mean, either one of these guys, if they lose, this might be it for either one. It's probably a loser gets cut, or maybe they might, even if it's a terrible fight, they might cut both of these guys. But Beri is the Canadian fighter, so maybe they keep him around just to throw him on these kind of Canada cards, just to have that kind of Canadian influence on the card. But yeah, I mean, these guys, I probably won't have a bet in this one. Both of these guys are washed. But if you had to have me pick a winner, I'm gonna guess just the pace, and probably Beri just puts the pressure on him. I mean, Bruno Silva's hard to knock out. I mean, I don't think he's been knocked out before. So, I mean, I guess Beri probably by a volume-based decision. But yeah, I don't know. This is battle of the washed. So I lean Beri.
mean, I agree. I think Burial probably is the side here because if he doesn't get knocked out early, he's going to win the cardio battle. Don't think Silva. I mean, he hasn't looked good at all. Like the Poatan fight, I ranked him higher after that fight. I thought, he stood in there, he took some good shots. He landed some shots himself. He fought a pretty good fight, and I was impressed with him. I thought, this guy's decent. But yeah, I mean, hasn't looked good since. And then when you go back and you look at his record, the guys that he's beat, Jordan Wright, I forget the other guy he beat just before that. Not the greatest of fighters, so he's got a lot of losses on the record in the UFC. And the Chris Weidman fight, that was the first sign of this guy's.
He did get eye poked like 50 times.
Yeah, I agree, but I mean, Chris Weidman, he's dead. Like, he's done as a fighter in the UFC. Like, he's not. I mean, obviously, he's no longer in the UFC, but I expected a whole lot more from him in that fight. The eye pokes, yeah, I mean, not the greatest, but then in his last fight, he came out, he looked a little, had a little love handles on him, and just doesn't look like he's got any. He just doesn't look like he's training to win fights in the UFC. He just looks like he's here to collect a paycheck until they stop, booking him for fights. So I have to roll Burial here, but yeah, there's a very, very high chance I don't have any bet on this fight. I'll just watch it, hope it's exciting, and that's about it. All right, our next fight is in the light heavyweight division. We've got Navajo Sterling taking on Ivan Urslon. Again, a couple guys that, don't really know a whole lot about either one of these guys. Sterling, he's got he doesn't have a lot of fights. He does have some good striking, good power. Finished most of his fights on the regional scene, but again, he's barely fought. Urslon, he's got a decent amount of experience. He looks like he's got some skills, but his volume's not really great. Haven't seen anything great from him to this point yet. Sterling, a pretty decent sized favorite here, which is, I guess he's comes from a good camp, trains with Izzy. But yeah, what do you make of this one?
Yeah, it's another one. I mean, Navajo Sterling, one of these unexperienced guys. We've seen these undefeated guys lose their O's. You know what I mean? Lately, it seems like the experience has been kind of just overpowering these younger, talented guys. I'm high on Sterling. I think he's got a lot of talent. I really like his striking. It's he's at that good gym, city kickboxing gym with Izzy and Olberg, so he's in the right place with the right bodies and training. I mean, he can only get better, yeah, the striking is phenomenal. We haven't really seen him grapple at all. So that's an aspect that I think, that an opponent would be able to implement on him and maybe have some success. But the striking is really, really good. He's had a bunch of kickboxing fights, so, I mean, the kid's a talented striker. He has power. He can lay you out, wasn't the greatest showing in his last fight against Tuco Tocos. I don't know how good that guy is, but yeah, I mean, he didn't get him out of there. He won a decision, a pretty dominant decision, but yeah, I mean, I think the kid has potential, and he can make improvements. His striking style reminds me a lot of Izzy, just by his techniques and the way he moves in there. Kind of reminds me of Izzy. So I think the kid has a lot of potential, but coming up, you got to go through those growing pains, and But I think overall, I think this is a pretty good matchup for him. He's going up against another guy who's not going to look to wrestle, who's a primary kickboxer. Low volume, does have power in his hands, but the output is not great. Kind of seems to slow down in his fights a little bit. But he can crack and he can hit, you know. So be interesting to see if he lands on Sterling, how he can take the punch. But yeah, I just think, you know, Sterling is just too fast, too sharp, and just going to be able to just piece him up and maybe catch him late, maybe a KO 2-3 is somewhere I'd want to go here, maybe a later KO. Yeah, but I think this is Sterling and probably Sterling all day. It is worrying me that all these young undefeated prospects have been getting knocked off this year, but yeah, give me Sterling here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I do think he's the sharper striker by quite a bit. Don't know what to make of his grappling. Urslon, you know, I have seen him have some success in the grappling, but not necessarily the biggest threat there. So yeah, I think Sterling is the rightful favorite here. The number's a little wide, but yeah, I think Sterling probably gets it done. I want to say he puts him out, but it's tough. It's one of those ones that, you know, you're going to be probably on the edge of your seat the whole time looking for the finish. But yeah, I mean, you know, new to the UFC, the Tukos fight, you know, you would have expected a little bit more, but again, you know, with the light experience, that's just a learning experience. So, you know, now he's got his feet wet. We could see him shine in this spot. So I do think he's the better fighter. I think he's more technical. And that may be all he needs, just technical striking, just snipe him and, you know, maybe finds a finish, but definitely think he can get the job done here. All right, our next fight is again in the light heavyweight division. We got Modestas Bukascus taking on Ion Coutalaba. Coutalaba is just a wild man. I mean, he's, you know, he comes to brawl. He's got some good wrestling. We've seen that in the past, but cardio wise, not the greatest. Bukascus, he's got some really good skills. He does have some decent jiu-jitsu. So if the fight does go to the ground, you know, he's not a fish out of water there. He's going to have a decent size advantage in this one. Not a huge size advantage, but a couple inches taller. And, you know, should be able to have some success at range. But Coutalaba comes in throwing bombs. Bukascus, he's had some fights where, you know, he's gotten clipped. I don't know. He looks like he's talented. And he could be really good, but hasn't quite put it all together yet. Both guys kind of in that middling light heavyweight, you know, bottom to middle of the division. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. You know, Coutalaba, you know, action pace, action-packed fights, you know, a guy that always he comes to brawl, but you know, I'm noticing a little bit lately in his more recent fights, he's been kind of taking a more measured approach, you know, and implementing his wrestling and his grappling, and you know, even some submissions being thrown in there. You know, I think he got his first sub like a couple fights ago, you know, which was kind of impressive. You know, I mean, he's kind of been trying to work a more methodical like style in the way he's been fighting lately, which is kind of good, you know, good, decent, because this guy would just be all gas, no breaks, 5 minutes, all out, try to finish you. If he didn't finish you, he gassed and then got finished. But in his last couple fights, he's kind of been more calculated and kind of managing his cardio, you know. His last fight, you know, it was against Urslon. I mean, he kind of, you know, he did really well in those first 2 rounds. The third round was not the greatest of looks, where he ended up on his back, pretty much gassed and held on for a split decision there. So yeah, I mean, decent striking, wild striking, power in his hands, can clip you. You know, he's got the wrestling in his back pocket. He's been working on his jiu-jitsu, you know, and you know, I've never really been a Modestas Bukascus fan. I mean, I don't know how good this guy is. You know, I mean, his last fight, you know, just absolutely crushed the can. You know, that guy sucks. It was Cachuera, right? Is who we fought? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that guy doesn't even deserve to be in the UFC. He does have that guy actually does have a fight book. Cachuera or whatever his name is. He has a fight book. I forgot who it is, but it's an interesting matchup. But yeah, I mean Bukascus, he's low volume. You know, he does have power in his hands. He can crack, but just doesn't. The output is not very good. You know, he's more. You know, the cardio is good. He can go. We've seen him go 5 rounds in Cage Warriors. He was a champion, so I really don't have questions about his cardio. It's just the output and the work rate. That he puts out. So yeah, I think I just think Coutalaba is just going to be coming forward, throwing more volume, throwing power shots, getting takedowns, and yeah, I think he can. I think he can pretty much. I mean, I think he can find the chin of Bukascus, or even maybe a sub if he gets him down to the ground and gets in a good position, because we've seen him work on and actually go for subs in his last couple of fights. So, yeah, give me Coutalaba here on the money line. I just think he's just going to have more output, more power, and just have better finishing upside. So yeah, give me Coutalaba. Give me the hope.
I've gone back and forth on this one because I've historically I've been a Coutalaba backer. He's burned me a few times in the past, which it's tough, but. I don't know, man. The thing about Coutalaba that I just hate is he's lost fights where he's the better fighter. He's dove in for takedowns and got submitted. He's been submitted a handful of times. I think that I don't know. I think this is going to be a pretty good fight on paper. I think. Coutalaba is going to bring it. I think the first round is definitely a risk for Bukascus. But overall, I think if Bukascus can weather the early storm, I think he finds a way to win this fight. Not super confident, but I'm going to roll with Bukascus here. I don't know. I just feel like Coutalaba, to me, he reminds me a lot of Michael Johnson, where he's got all the skills, he looks great, and the next thing you know, he's losing a fight that he should be winning. So
yeah,
I kind of
to counter that, he's made a lot of improvements though in his last few fights.
I agree. I mean,
what I mean?
He has, and he's fought a smarter game plan, which I do like. But I think Bukascus is a smart fighter too. I think he can kind of be patient in this one, and the patience may pay off. This is definitely not a confident pick by any stretch, but I just think if this fight goes longer, it favors Bukascus a little bit. I did not like the way he ended that third round against Urslon. That was not a great look, but I'm talking about Coutalaba, that is. But yeah, I think the longer the fight goes, I think Bukascus is probably in a better spot. Not a confident play, but I have to go Bukascus here. All right, our next fight is a women's flyweight fight. We've got Jessica Andrade taking on Jasmine Jasvicius. Andrade, we've seen her for many years. She's been a champion. She's fought in multiple weight classes. She's got power in her hands that, it's undeniable. She definitely has some big power. Taking on Jasvicius, who has been on a really nice run. She is probably the best Canadian fighter on this card, I would say. She's going to have a lot of support behind her. She's a very good grappler, and obviously that's going to be the path that she's going to look for here. But Jessica Andrade is tough as nails, and she can crack. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this should be an interesting one. We know Andrade and what she brings to the table. Power in her hands. Former champion. She's got all the pedigree, all the backlash, but you got to think like, is this the right weight class for her? I mean, she's coming up here. You know, Jasmine is going to have a significant size advantage here. So it's like, can she really, like, her path to victory here is, I mean, we know she's got the power in her hands and the striking is pretty good. You know, she's definitely going to have the edge here in the striking department, even though Jazz has made improvements in that aspect, I think, recently. So, but yeah, I mean, her path to victory here is pretty much keep it on the feet and land a big bomb. You know, that's pretty much the path for Jessica. You know, she's. I don't think. I mean, she's going to be at a big size disadvantage here, which is a big concern if you're going to back Andrade. You know,
Yeah.
you know, and Jasmine. You know, I mean, I'm a big Jasmine fan. You know, she's made improvements in her striking, I think, recently, and you know, her game is pretty much take you down and maul you and just get on top and you know, once you get down, once she gets Andrade down, I don't really see her getting back up. You know, her top game is pretty good. You know, I mean, you know, she lands like the ground and pound. You know, she stays active on top. You know, and yeah, I mean, that's where we've seen Andrade struggle before is with other girls that are bigger and stronger and that can just muscle her to the ground. You know, and take her down and hold her down. You know, zap the energy. You know, once you get those first couple takedowns, you know, the energy starts to zap, and you know, it's like you kind of get defeated once you're getting taken down like that, you know. And I think Jasmine, that's pretty much what she does here. You know, she's gonna pretty much take her down and maul her. You know, I could see her finishing her, you know, late maybe, you know, like a 2-3, maybe like a 2-3 sub or something like that. That would be something that would be interesting to me here. But yeah, I think this is pretty clean, clear cut for me. This is Jasmine all day for me, and probably a dominant decision, or maybe even she can get a late finish. So yeah, this is yeah, I'm not high on Andrade at this weight class. I think she's just at a big disadvantage here, and yeah,
Yeah.
give me Jasmine all day long.
Yeah. When I first saw the card, this was one of the fights that I liked right off the bat. I think Jasmine's in a good spot here. She's got the size. She's got the grappling. She's, you know, she can take some shots too. You know, we've seen at one point she was kind of a fish out of water on the feet, and she kind of got beat up in some fights before she was able to land takedowns. But she showed a toughness in those fights to, you know, be willing to take some damage and get the fight to the ground. Now, I think she's got better striking. She's definitely come a long way in the striking. And she does have the grappling advantage. And, you know, once she gets the fight to the ground, she's a real problem. And that's kind of how I see this going. She, you know, she's going to have to avoid getting hit with one of those bombs because, you know, let's face it, when Andrade lands clean, it's a problem. But yeah, decent size advantage here for Jasdavicius. Overall, I think she's kind of on the upward trend. Andrade kind of on the downward trend. And this is a good name for Jasdavicius to get a win over. And I think that's kind of what the whole point of this matchup is. Canadian fighter, get a big win in Canada and over a big name, former champ, put Jasmine kind of on the next level. And yeah, I think she gets it done here. And I do think, you know, late finish is definitely possible. I think that first round is going to be a little bit dicey. She's going to have to kind of weather that storm and avoid any big shots. But once the fight gets going, you know, gets that grappling going, she should roll. All right. Our next fight is in the welterweight division. We've got Jasmine's teammate, Mike Malott, taking on Charles Radke. This is an interesting one here. Radke has legit power. He's, you know, heavy left hand, good striking. Malott is a guy that, you know, I was kind of high on. And then, you know, the Neil Magny fight kind of had me pumping the brakes a little bit on him. He's really strong. He's got good grappling. but he a little to be desired on the feet. Definitely takes some shots. He's got some nice kicks. That's definitely a good part of his game, but can get beat in the boxing a little bit. And Malot's going to have a pretty decent size advantage, I believe, here, which I'm kind of curious to see how these two look facing off. But this is a good fight here, and this will kind of tell us which one of these guys is ready for the next level. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I really don't know what to make of Malott. We knew Malott as a guy who's going to just come out all gas, no brakes, pretty much kill, going to come out and just try to get you out of there as pretty much as quick as possible in the first 2 rounds. Because usually if fights are extended, he kind of tends to, gas out, which kind of happened in, that Neil Magny fight is kind of crazy. He's, dominating Neil Magny, beating him down, and just completely just blew his load and just had nothing left in that 3rd round. Ended up getting finished a fight that he was dominating, and he's got good striking. I mean, he was a striking coach at his gym. So, I mean, I guess, give or take, what you take of that, he's got good grappling, good BJJ. The guy seems like he has the skills, but I mean, can he put it all together, and he can be cracked. He is kind of vulnerable. The striking defense is not the greatest, as you've seen. I mean, the Trevin Giles fight, his last fight was just, I mean, it wasn't the greatest of looks. I mean, he came out and kind of just looked to go to a decision. He never really looked for a finish, he was pretty much just fine with winning a decision. I mean, Giles threw absolutely no volume, and he had no worries on the feet. Nothing was coming back at him. He did get hit. He kind of was busted up a little bit, but I mean, Giles never really landed anything of significance to kind of hurt him. Malott kind of cruised there, didn't really look for a finish, kind of was more precise and measured. It wasn't the usual Mike Malott in his last fight. So I'm interested to see what he's going to come out and do here. I'm guessing, I mean, I don't know what to make. I don't know if he's going to come out with the same game plan, or is he going to come out like he always has, just like a bat out of hell in round 1,
Yeah.
Radke's a guy, he's a tough guy, controversial guy, gets on the mic and says some controversial shit, but it's kind of funny, and he's an entertaining guy, good style in there, he's got some good boxing, the grappling which here is what might be a concern, if Malott can get takedowns here, that could be a concern. But yeah, on the feet, I like, Radke's combinations. I like, we did see him get finished by Prates, but I mean, that dude, Prates, finished him to the body. But Prates pretty much finishes everybody but Ian Gary. So, that was a tough fight for him, but, he bounced back after that. And, I don't like, I kind of liked it more when, Radke's taking all the money. This is the public dog of the week is Radke. Everybody's fading Malott because, they just see, because I don't know if Malott has it, and especially the level of competition he was fighting, like Mickey Gall and all these guys, Mickey Gall, it was just not the greatest to look at guys that he was beating, because he did take he took 3 years off, came back, he fought Mickey Gall, and then another guy that's not that good. But his name's
Linez.
Linez. Yeah, so just not the greatest of competition coming back, and I think this is pretty evenly matched, and I think this is going to be a good fight, fun fight either way. But after all that, give me Radke to do it for America in Canada, and get on the mic and say some wild shit. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to this one.
Yeah. He made some comments. He's going to make somebody pay for the Canadians booing the national anthem and I think it was the 4x4, whatever, the hockey tournament there. the Four
Oh
Nations.
yeah.
So yeah, he's not afraid to say some stuff, which is fun. But yeah, I have to agree, man. I think Radke's power comes into play here. I think he can catch him on the feet, and I'm just not sold on Mike Malott's heart. You know, we saw the Neil Magny fight, and we saw how that went. And then the Giles fight, it almost looked like he just wanted to get to the finish line. And you know, he did his thing. He won the fight. You give him credit. You know, Trevin Giles is a pretty tough out. He's, you know, you never know kind of where his motivation's at. He's a very talented guy, but yeah, Giles just did not really do anything in that fight. You know, Malott, if he gets the leg kicks going and lands some heavy leg kicks early, gets that calf beat up, that could definitely, you know, go in his favor. But I think when push comes to shove, if this becomes a war, I kind of wonder, you know, where his cardio is going to be. And yeah, I think Radke's just got that power that, you know, once he lands a big shot or two, that can kind of take it out of him. So I like Radke here. I think he gets it done, and I think, you know, there's a high probability of a finish too. So yeah, give me Radke in this one. All right, our next fight is in the lightweight division. We've got a short notice replacement, Kyle Preple, returning to the UFC. He was previously 0-2 years ago. I think 2019 was the last time he fought in the UFC. Taking on Benoit Saint Denis, who was in line to face a killer. So a bit of a step down here. Saint Denis on a 2-fight skid. Yeah, the Moicano loss, the Poirier loss. But previous to that, you know, he looked like a killer. He looked, you know, he's durable as hell. You know, he can take some damage. He's got solid grappling. Tough guy overall. Obviously, Saint Denis is a massive favorite in this spot. Not too much you can do with it, but what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't get that Joel Alvarez and Benoit Saint Denis fight. That would have been a pure like violence. I mean, that one would have just been a straight dog fight, a straight war.
Yeah.
You know, but then we get, I mean, Saint Denis, I mean, he's on a rough little stretch. I mean, the Poirier fight, you can't really knock him too much for it. You know, he had that staph infection, and then he had a good first round. He out-grappled Dustin, and then just seemingly just completely gassed, which was probably the antibiotics that made him do that. You know, yeah, he gassed, and, you know, Dustin Poirier put his lights out, you know. I mean, that's what a legend does, you know what I mean? And the Moicano fight wasn't the greatest of looks. You know, I mean, he took an absolute, like, that was like a 10-7 in the first round. I mean, that was just a brutal beating. I mean, busted up. His eye was all jacked up, you know, but
yeah.
You know, Moicano, this guy, you need like a sledgehammer to get this guy out of there, because, you know, he was, even though after taking all that damage and looking completely gassed and cooked, I mean, of course, you take all that damage, your body's gonna feel an effect from it. But he still continued to walk forward and throw bombs. You know what I mean? Yeah, and then they stopped because of the eye. If that fight continued, I don't know. Moicano looked like he was kind of in trouble. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
Got the stoppage. You know, the eye was just too bad. They stopped it, and, you know, he's making his return here. You know, and yeah, I mean, the guy's got power in his hands. He's a decent striker. He's got that grappling in his back pocket if he wants to go to it, like we've seen in that Poirier fight where he just absolutely dominated him in the first round with the grappling. So, I mean, like you said, he's a massive favorite. I don't know what Kyle Preple really brings to the table here. I mean, I guess he's got some decent boxing, some decent striking. He's never been knocked out before, so that's an interesting one. I mean, but you watch this guy's regional tape in the competition he's fighting, and it's like he's fighting like taxi cab drivers and you know, and like just guys that just not the greatest of competition. Let's just say that. And the activity hasn't been the greatest, but he was training for a fight going into this one against a relatively tougher kind of guy, good level regional guy. So I mean, he was in camp for this, so he is the hometown Canadian guy. I just don't know what he has to offer. I mean, it's just like it's Benoit Saint Denis, but like, how do you get on him? Like,
yeah,
props aren't out for him yet. I can't see anything on. So yeah, I really don't know if it's over or under, if it's knockout, if it's sub. I really don't know. Not much you could do with a minus 1100 favorite. So yeah, it's Benoit, but you're gonna have to pick how he gets it done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm curious to see what the minus 3.5 looks like.
That's going to be terrible. It's like
that's
probably
not going to be great, but it might be. It might be at least better. Maybe you can throw it in a parlay.
Hold on. Yeah, no props anywhere.
Yeah, I didn't see. It was weird because last week's card, DraftKings had
the overs taking a lot of money though.
Yeah.
Over
Makes
1.5.
Yeah. I mean, Preple's tough dude, tough to put away to this point. He hasn't really fought anybody that's a real threat to finish him. I mean, even when he fought in the UFC, he fought, Austin Hubbard and I can't think of the other guy he fought, but Austin Hubbard, he wouldn't finish me if we fought. He'd fight 3 rounds with me. Obviously that's not true, but Austin Hubbard's not a finisher, and so he hasn't really fought anybody to the level of Saint Denis. I mean, Saint Denis, if he gets that grappling going, if he does what he did against Poirier, he probably smashes him. He probably gets him out of there. But it's tough. It's tough to tell. I threw Saint Denis in a parlay. I threw it on the sheet with the Tigers last night, and then Bilal in the main event, and that was plus 170. That didn't really add much to the parlay, but it added a little bit. So, but I've got that going right now. But I think Benoit probably finds a way to get this kid out of there at some point.
Yeah, probably.
But, yeah, I mean, Saint Denis obviously is the side here. Obviously he was a dog against Alvarez. I'm pretty sure he was the dog going into that fight.
I think it was like plus 130. Plus 130. Yeah. Alvarez like minus 160.
But Joel Alvarez is a killer. I mean, his striking's unbelievable, his elbows, everything. So that was a dangerous fight. He was training for a dangerous guy. He's getting a much less dangerous guy here.
He turned down a bunch of fights too. The Gamrot fight, the Mechki fight,
which makes sense. I mean, he was lined up
to fight those guys on. You're on a streak. You're not going to want to jump in against these tough competitions. Gamrot's going to grab your leg and try to fucking hump you for 15 minutes. So it's like you don't want that fight, like on short notice, on a week's notice. Like,
yeah, agree. That's not ideal on a 2-fight losing streak. Full camp, I'm sure he would take that fight all day. But I think Saint Denis gets the job done here. I think he probably gets him out of there one way or another. I think if he gets going with the grappling, gets the ground and pound going, could lock up a sub, could just put the damage on him, get a TKO. But I think Saint Denis wins. Yeah, I guess if there's a decent price on inside the distance, maybe I'll do that. But I mean, it's probably not going to be great. But Saint Denis should roll in this one. All right, the next fight is this is a good one here. Women's flyweight division. We got Alexa Grasso taking on Natalia Silva. Grasso, was the champ. She's fought 3 straight fights with Valentina. She's got some skills. She's good boxing. Her grappling, she's made improvements in the grappling. She can be grappled. We saw that with Valentina. Valentina took her down a bunch. Taking on Natalia Silva, who is just a spark plug. She's super fast. She's got some pop in her hands, but she mostly goes to decisions. High volume type fighter. Very good, up and comer. This is a pretty good matchup here, I think. But both are extremely good strikers. I expect this to be a good one. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is a real interesting one. I mean, former champion Alexa Grasso, we know what she brings to the table. Good boxing, good volume, good output. She's got the grappling in her back pocket if she chooses to go to it. Some slick back takes, some good, BJJ. Overall well-rounded, fighter. And, I'm a big Natalia Silva fan too. She's got, really good striking, or, really good technique, up-and-coming girl. She's on the come up. She looks good. This should be a pretty fun fight. It's going to be like, does Grasso shoot takedowns, and can she get takedowns, or can she stay on the feet and just land the more volume, make it competitive, maybe mix in a takedown? I think this line is a little wide. I mean, you're getting the former champion here at plus 200, like, against a girl. I get it. She's up and coming. She's looked phenomenal. I'm a big fan of her. I like her style. I like the way she fights. But, I mean, at just, like, just the numbers, like, I mean, you're getting – she was just a pick-up against Valentina Shevchenko, or a favorite against Valentina Shevchenko, and now she's a plus 200 dog, one fight removed, to an up-and-coming girl like in Natalia Silva, who I love, but I mean, the price just seems a little off to me. I don't know. It's, if this fight happens before the last Valentina fight, what do you think the number is?
I mean, Grasso is probably favored, honestly.
Like minus 170 favorite. Maybe the line's flipped, probably.
Potentially, yeah. Yeah, because I mean, everybody thought Grasso was the real deal. So I agree, man.
And it was a rough look. And, it was a rough look in her last fight. I mean, Valentina just, went for takedowns. I didn't expect that to happen, her to have that much of a dominant success. But I mean, it seemed like Grasso was okay to play BJJ off her back foot. Yeah. Wasn't the smartest game plans, but it's like, I don't see Silva coming out here and implementing a grappling, like, heavy game plan. So if it's on the feet, I mean, Grasso's boxing is good enough to keep this close. I see this as like a pretty close fight. Like, I think it should be probably Silva, maybe minus 140. Maybe at worst.
Yeah.
And at this number, it's too good for me to pass up on a former champion. So this is like strictly just a numbers bet. I like both girls. I think it's going to be a close, competitive fight. And give me the former champion at plus 200.
Yeah, I feel like the market's kind of undervalued Grasso here big time.
Just off her last performance, just off her getting taken down, and it was a bad look in that championship fight,
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the other fights, she submitted Valentina, and then like the second fight, I mean, she dropped Valentina. She had moments in that fight,
Yeah,
it was a draw, but she had big moments. She hurt Valentina on the feet, dropped her, had success in the grappling department, and then she has that one bad performance, and now she's a plus 200 dog.
Yeah, it's a crazy number. That was the first thing I thought when I saw it. So with that said, you're probably going to get a decent price on the plus 3.5. I don't know if that's out yet, but I think that's worth a bet. I'm willing to put that in a parlay because I think Grasso could win the fight outright, but I definitely think, if they just stand on the feet and trade, it's going to be back and forth, and it's going to be a very close fight. And I mean, Grasso, she's still young. It's not like, she lost the belt and all of a sudden she's over the hill. She's
31 years old, coming into her prime.
Yeah, so it's like, she trains with Diego Lopez. She's comes from a good camp. She's a tough out, and yeah, I agree, man. I think the number
She is
is
coming off a couple of injuries though, and she had a few surgeries. I think on her hand or something, or
yeah.
she might have had. But I mean, I don't know. She's she's the plus 3.5 is minus 160.
Okay, so not as good as I would have hoped, but still, though, I mean, I'll throw that in a parlay. I'll probably have that in a parlay by the time we get to Saturday.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Silva goes to decisions nonstop. So, this fight goes 3 rounds. It's going to be close. And the judges, you don't know what you're going to get with the judges. So, even if it looks like Silva won clearly, like she could still lose a decision. So, yeah, I think the number.
Could
I think
always
the
be a
price
split. I could.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead.
No, I
Yeah.
agree. It could easily be a split. They're both going to come forward. I mean, honestly, Grasso's the one that comes forward. And, Silva tends to fight off the back foot a lot. She's got good counters. Grasso could be the one pushing forward in this fight. And Grasso's boxing's really good. Her head movement is great. Yeah. And she does have some power. She dropped Valentina. That's saying something. So yeah, I mean, I think the number is just too wide. And yeah, give me Grasso here. But a more confident play would definitely be the plus 3.5. And there's a very good chance I'm going to have that in a parlay.
Yeah, I don't mind the split either. The split's plus 400, which is, I mean, not bad. I mean, usually we're getting like plus 250 on some of these chick fights. So yeah, plus 400, I don't think is bad.
With the high likelihood of this going to a decision, that's a fair price. All right, we'll move on. The next fight is in the bantamweight division. Another good one here. We got Jose Aldo, the ageless wonder, taking on Ayman Zahabi. Zahabi has been on a nice little roll. He's a very good striker. His brother, famously George St. Pierre's coach for all those years. The thing about Aldo, man, he's up there in age. We thought he was done a long time ago, but he just keeps coming back. Last fight, lost against Bautista, but, Bautista kind of just held him up against the cage, and a lot of people thought Aldo won that fight. It's going to be a good one here. This is going to be a striker's delight. Zahabi, that's what he does. He's a striker. Nobody can take down Jose Aldo, so he's not going to be – I don't think he's going to be taking him down. And we know Aldo is going to stand and trade. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this is – I don't think either one of these guys are really going to look to grapple, so I think this is probably going to be a kickboxing match. It's like, although the last performance was not the greatest look, he kind of just got held up on the cage and just kind of controlled and really couldn't really do much, which was kind of weird. He couldn't get off the cage, which was kind of surprising. And he even said in his interviews this week that he was pissed off and angry about that performance, and he promises to have a better performance here. And that Jonathan Martinez fight, rewatching that, those combinations he was putting on him, they were pretty sick. He still has the speed is still there. The striking is good. The volume's there. Aldo looks like he still got it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Retires, comes back, and still has it. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Jose Aldo. He's a legend. Who's not? If you're not a Jose Aldo fan, are you really an MMA fan? I really don't know. I would question that. But but then Ayman Zahabi. This guy. I was not high on this guy, and then he just comes out in that Ricky Tercios fight and just looks like a technical striker. And he looked good in that fight, and then all his other fights. It's the Basharat fight, he looked good. His last fight, he looked good. It's like, he's made improvements. I mean, he's coming from a good camp, you know, and where he's definitely worked on his skills, you know, with his brother. So, yeah, this is a tricky one for me, but it's going to be like who can land more to the punch, and like it's tricky because, you know, it's Montreal, it's Zahabi's, you know, it's his backyard. He's from Montreal, which is like you're going to have that crowd, that Canadian crowd behind him, but I wouldn't be surprised if Aldo also has some fanfare behind him, just because his
sure.
you know his you know his swagger and his pedigree, you know. So yeah, this is going to be a fun one, I think, or it might not even be a fun one. It might just be a low volume tit for tat boxing match. You know what I mean? It has potential, but yeah, I got to ride with Aldo here, and Aldo to get the job done, edge out a decision over Ariel Helwani, and yeah, that's it.
Jesus Christ. I wasn't ready for that one. Yeah, I agree, man. I just can't fade Aldo until I see otherwise. He's just too good. His striking's too good. I know Zahabi striking's very good, high volume guy, but most people end up trying to grapple Jose because this, you know, they don't want to stand and trade with him. It's just the way it is. Yeah. The home crowd thing kind of does worry me a little bit. You know, you might get a little bias in the judging. And I would expect probably a 3-round fight here, but yeah, I mean, he's nasty. His body work's still great. You know, he doesn't seem like he's really slowed down. You know, he's not the Jose Aldo of 10 years ago, but he's still, I mean, the Jonathan Martinez fight, I thought Jonathan Martinez would be able to get him out of there. And, you know, Aldo just put on a clinic there. So, and then the Bautista fight, you know, he got held up against the cage, but anytime they were at range was, you know, it looked like he was the guy winning. And that's why most people thought he won the fight, because he was landing some damage and he was putting a pace on. And I'm pretty sure he outlanded Bautista in that fight. But, you know, Bautista got the edge with the control time. But yeah, I mean, Aldo easily could have won that fight. So yeah, I think it'll be good. I think it'll be competitive, you know, and maybe Zahabi really is that guy, and he could be the guy to finally, you know, get over the hump here with Aldo and maybe show him that the time is now. But yeah, until I see it, I have to roll.
I mean, these guys are both old. These guys are both like 36.
That's true.
They're like the same age.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah, it's not like Zahabi's young. You're right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, give me Aldo. You know, if I lose with Aldo, it is what it is. But I'm okay with it. I'll take that shot. All right, that brings us to our championship fights. Our co-main event, we've got Valentina Shevchenko, who just recently reclaimed the crown, taking on Manon Fiorot, who most people have been, you know, thinking is a future champ, basically since she got into the UFC. And the time is now. She's here. She is. She's got good striking. She's got a decent grappling game. But the question is she ready for this big spot? What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is an interesting, like, kind of style matchup. You know, it's like we've seen Valentina. You know, she's got the pedigree. You know, the champion. You know, she had that 3-fight series with Graso. You know, and you know the first one she gets submitted, she bounces back. She doesn't look the greatest. You know, but still fights to a draw. And you know, the third one, she just absolutely she dominates and reclaims her crown. So. Yeah, you know, we know what we're getting out of Valentina. You know, she's good, well-rounded, you know, mixed martial artist, you know, good striking. And, you know, we've seen, as she's gotten older here, we've seen her kind of, like, rely on her grappling like a little bit more. You know, that's kind of the game plan she's kind of been going to, is just getting you down and implementing her grappling. You know, and she's had some success. She's had success doing that. You know, and she still got the striking in her back pocket. You know, but she's been going to that grappling heavy game plan kind of a lot recently, and that's where I think she could have a problem here. You know, because I think Manon, you know, we know the volume is there. Great striker, great technical striker. She's going to put up a lot of volume, a lot of punches. You know, doesn't have the best power, you know, but I mean, the takedown defense seems to check out and be, you know, it's like a 93% takedown defense. So it seems to be pretty elite, you know. Blanchfield never really even I mean, couldn't even really get her down at all. She couldn't get her down at all. You know, Manon actually got reversals and ended up on top anytime Blanchfield kind of went for a takedown there. So it's like, this is going to be an interesting one. I think this fight all relies on if Valentina can get, takedowns here, I think she's probably will look like a minus like 350, 400 favorite in the fight. But if she's not getting takedowns and this is on the feet, this is going to be a super, super close fight, you know. And I thought Valentina was starting to slow down a little bit before, you know, that last Graso fight, you know. And I don't know if that fight, she got the job done in like kind of a dominant fashion, but rewatching that fight, I didn't walk away like with my mind blown, like she still got it. Like, I don't know. She kind of seemed, you know, it's like she won and she did dominate, but it wasn't like a mind-blowing performance. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm worried that cliff is coming, and that cliff comes. It comes pretty fast, and yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Viva la France and Nuke. I think Manon can stuff the takedowns and just be able to, you know, just out volume her, land the volume on her, keep it on the feet, and make Valentina work, you know, and just be able to put the volume and probably edge out a close decision. I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, this is another split. You know, I see this being a super close fight. You know, in that aspect, I would say take the dog, you know, but like kind of like all the Valentina value is kind of gone, and it's getting into that pick 'em range where I'm just going to lean with the new blood coming in and getting the job done, and Manon walking away and new.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, because I do feel like Valentina has taken a step back. I mean, she's still really good and she still dominates, I'd say 90% of the division. But yeah, I mean, Manon, she puts up good volume. She is a good striker. It seems like in fights where Valentina doesn't feel like she is the alpha with the striking, she goes to that grappling earlier these days, you know, and we've seen it a lot, you know. She's had success. She's had success with the grappling, so you can't really fault her for it. But there was a time where nobody wanted to stand and trade with Valentina, and it feels like now she's just maybe not as fast. I don't know, but there definitely seems like something's up, where she's not the scary striker that she used to be. I mean, she's still extremely dangerous, and we've seen her throw that head kick and land that in the past, and I'm sure that's still in the arsenal. She's got the championship pedigree, you know, she's still really good. But if this is a fight where, you know, Manon can stand and trade with her and she shoots for some takedowns and doesn't get them, it could get very interesting. And I don't like to pick against Valentina. I don't like to pick against her, especially as a dog. But I do see a path where Manon can win this fight and look really good. So yeah, I feel like I have to lean Manon. I hate to do it, but sometimes, you know, these champions, at some point it ends, and this could potentially be it. I mean, obviously we saw her lose the belt and get it back, but Father Time keeps ticking on, and I think this might be the shot for Manon to get it and be the new queen. So yeah, give me Manon here and new, and we move on. Actually, let me see if I got this. Yes, I do. So that brings us to our main event. We've got the welterweight title on the line. Everybody's favorite fighter, Belal Muhammad, the champ, taking on Jack Della Maddalena. Jack Della taking this fight, not on super short notice, but it's kind of somewhat of a late replacement. But Jack Della's got extremely good striking. He's very dangerous on the feet. We've seen him get grappled in the past, but to this point, he had Gilbert Burns basically had him beat, and he was able to get a late reversal and land a massive knee on Gilbert Burns and put him out. So dangerous to the final bell, but Belal, the guy's got great grappling, trains with Khabib and Islam and all those guys. Seen him implement that grappling game. He is a good striker, very well-rounded guy. Maybe not the most entertaining guy, but definitely highly skilled. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I mean, oh shit, I'm choking. Yeah, Jack Della, we kind of know what we're getting out of him. Kind of great boxer, deadly power in his hands. Yeah, really, really a fun guy to watch. Kind of all action guy. He goes in there to try to take your head off pretty much every single time. He brings a war. And he's going to come forward and throw big bombs. And we've seen him grapple before, though. That's mainly the big concern. Like, I mean, the Basel Hafez fight wasn't the greatest of looks. Oh shit!
Stay with us, Johnny.
He was, he was out grappled in that fight at moments, but he still outlanded him. And some people thought Hafez won that fight. Rewatching it, I don't think he did. I mean, Jack Della landed all the damage on the feet, and Hafez was just trying to dry hump him and hold him down. And then, on that Gilbert Burns fight, I had Gilbert Burns up 2-0, pretty much just like mauling him, taking him down. He had like 7 takedowns, I think, in that fight. And then, the last minute of the fight, he lands a massive game-changing knee, and that's the fight, He's been off since then. He's had some injuries, and he's coming back. Was initially scheduled to fight Leon Edwards, but then with the Shopcott injury, he slides in here and he gets his title shot. I mean, clearly the path for him is to keep it on the feet. We've seen some training videos with him and Craig Jones. He's been working with Craig Jones, obviously on the grappling and stuff. So I mean, that's a positive for him, but. Belal, like you said, not the most entertaining guy, not the most likable personality, kind of cringe in my opinion, says some really stupid stuff. But I mean, you can't knock the guy. The guy goes out there and wins fights. What is it, 11-fight win streak I think he's on? Yeah. He goes out there and he puts together a game plan, he wins. He blends the grappling with, he's made big steps, leaps and bounds. In his striking since he first came into the UFC. He's made some big improvements in his boxing. And you can blend in that grappling. He's got good cardio. He's a tough out. He's a good fighter, What's concerning to me is, this guy, media day, Canelo hands. I'm the best boxer in division. And you know what I mean? That's just the delusion that this guy has. Like, It's like, dude, you're not going to go out there and outbox this guy. If you stand on the feet for 25 minutes, you're probably going to get caught with JDS. You're going to have to blend your grappling, mix it in, use your striking to get inside and get takedowns. Use a smart game plan, and you'll be able. I think he should be able to easily win this fight. You know what I mean? But I mean, anytime it's on the feet, Jack Della is always going to be live because he has that game-changing power.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't bet on that landing that one shot. I got to go with Bilal Muhammad here just to be able to blend the MMA, be able to use his striking, win some exchanges, get the takedowns, wear on Jack Della, land some good ground and pound, and just and be able to probably win a decision. He talks about he's gonna finish him in round 3, and like, this guy is just. I mean, when was the last? I mean, Sean Brady. You knocked out Sean Brady, but I mean, like, okay, but before that, with when? This guy, he's a decision machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Bilal here. I think he gets the job done. I think he can get takedowns, get some control time. I think he can keep it competitive on the feet. And yeah, I got Bilal in a couple parlays. Yeah, I like Bilal here.
Yeah, I mean, Bilal talks about the Canelo hands and all that stuff, but
and I cringe every time I hear it.
Yeah, I feel like that's just. I almost think he does it on purpose, honestly, at this point. Because we all know the game plan is to take this guy to the ground. It's not even a question. And I think he can just. I mean, he think he could ragdoll him for the whole fight. Honestly, I wouldn't. This could be an opportunity for him to find a finish because I think he is going to have a lot of success in the grappling. I think he will land some good ground and pound. And, it's a 5-round fight. Jack Della is a guy that he finishes a lot of guys early. And, obviously we know his cardio is pretty decent because of that Gilbert Burns fight. He had it in the 3rd round there. But that was a fight where he got pretty much controlled the whole time. So there is a clear path here. And when there's a clear path, you got to take it. And Bilal Muhammad is a guy who has found the path every time he's fought. He goes for that path. The game plan will be on point, and he's not going to play games. I mean, you got a guy who's extremely dangerous on the feet, who, has big power and can hurt you. So why play that game? He's not going to do it. I'd be shocked. Bilal does have good striking, and it is pretty underrated. But when it all comes down to it, there's a clear path here, and I think he takes it. And like I said, I've got him in that parlay. It's plus 170 with Saint Denis and then the Tigers from last night. So I don't know if I'll do too much more with Bilal tickets. Might throw something. I might throw, maybe an over in there. But as for now, I think Bilal wins this fight. I think he probably makes it look somewhat easy because I do think there's a massive gap in the grappling. But Bilal Muhammad for me. So with that said, that's the card. We will be live all weekend, as we always are. We've got NASCAR all weekend. Got the fights. Got MLB. MLB. We got NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs going on. So, log in and Nuke the House. Nuke the House is the promo code for a free week. So get your free week. But tune in. We'll be live. Cashing tickets all weekend. With that said, Johnny, if you got anything else, let us know. If not, we'll get out of here.
No, that's it. We're ready to go. Ready for some fights this weekend.
All right, guys. Give us a like, share the video, and we'll see you this weekend. Let's cash some tickets.